Good morning and happy Vlogmas day 11. Where is it? Yeah, it's the 11th. Yeah, happy Vlogmas day 11. Today is Tuesday and I've spent the morning just doing the usual, editing yesterday's vlog, getting it ready to upload, and I'm going to start uploading it in a minute and schedule it and all that sort of blah blah stuff. Today we're going to make something. I finally made a decision of what I was going to do this morning and so yeah, we're going to do it. We are going to make, or attempt to make, and hope that it sort of works. We're going to make a Christmas tree skirt. I found this pattern in a magazine that Spotlight put out like maybe 2-3 years ago, and I just ripped it out and I discovered it the other day and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so perfect. It looks really easy and really quite simple-ish. Maybe. So this is the pattern I'm using. There will be a link to a pattern information sheet of sorts in the description box. I'll write another one up like I did for the advent calendar. So don't worry, if you do want to make this, then there is instructions. Instead of actually buying fabric and then cutting it, I am actually deciding to use jelly rolls. Now I'm going to make the biggest confession here. I have never used a jelly roll in my life. I just don't use pre-cuts. I don't know what it is. I just never really think they're all that great. Possibly because I've never really given them a chance. And what I mean by pre-cuts is like jelly rolls, charm squares, all the stuff that's already cut and just ready for you to start piecing together. I just never use any of that stuff because I love buying meterage fabric. I love cutting out all of my little bits and squares because I'm really anal like that and really OCD. I love having control over every sort of stage of making something, so that's why I don't really use pre-cuts. Yeah, it's just a thing that I don't really use. But because the strips that are being used in this tree skirt are 2.5 inches, I was all like, let's use these and see how we go. I just wanted to get something that was really quick and simple and easy. I didn't really want to have to cut too much, and they were on sale as well, so I just got them. So I'm sticking to the red and white sort of theme, and I'm pretty sure I have everything for it. Pretty sure I'll have like a matching red fabric for the bias binding that will go around the edge. I'm sure I've got plenty of fabric to do the backing, and I have a whole roll of batting that is leaning against this filing cabinet in the corner here. So I've got plenty of everything, so I don't think I'll have an issue with that. So that is what we're going to do today. But before I get into it, there is one thing that we do need to fix. We need to fix this thing here. So I thought, instead of like, you know, just using it once this year and then be really discouraged not using it next year because it's been misspelt, I had a look through all of my Christmas stickers this morning and I found something that might work. I have this little sticker here and I'm thinking I'm just going to cut this little Christmas bit here and stick it over where it says Christmas, and it's fixed. I mean, such a simple little thing. It can totally be saved and redeemed and used and not be tainted. So I'm going to replace that. So I'm going to hopefully cover that. I think it should just fit, maybe. Oh, I didn't think of that. And yeah, hopefully save it. There we go. Oh, better. Now we've only got 13 more days until Christmas. Woo! The time has come to start our Christmas tree skirt. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to unpackage my jelly rolls. To make this tree skirt, you'll need to have 20 strips of 2.5 by the width of your fabric, which is about 110, or what is that in inches? Like 42 inches wide. Just your long strips out of your jelly rolls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to arrange these into 6 sets of 9 strips. I'm going to make sure all of the strips are sort of in a particular way so that there's no sort of the same color that will be next to each other kind of thing. And then I'm just going to sew all of the strips together, and then I will come back and tell you how to cut it, because they need to be cut into triangle type shapes using the 60-degree angle line on your ruler. So that part I'm a little bit sketchy on, but we will work it out and learn it together. But in the meantime, I'm going to open these, pop them into 6 sets of 9 strips, and then sew them all together using a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so it really sets an example. When you're starting a pattern, make sure you read it 100 times until you actually understand what's going on. I thought I had to do 6 sets of these strips, so I thought I had to do this 6 times, and as I was doing it, I'm like, this is really long just to cut one little wedge out. You actually cut 2 wedges out of the one strip, or out of the one 9 strip set. So you only have to do 3 of these, not 6, which is what I thought I had to do, because I was like, it's going to be a lot of waste. But yeah, you essentially cut 2 little wedges out of the one length, or the one set. So yay, that means I only have 2 more to go. I thought I had to do another 5. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever. But no, happy days. Okay, well, I'm going to just finish the last 2 sets with 9 strips in each of them. So I'm going to repeat again. You only have to make 3 sets of 9 strip pieces like this. So I've finished sewing together my 3 sets of 9 strips together, and I've ironed the seams on this one going this way, the seams on this one going that way, the seams on this one going that way, so that when we cut them and piece them, the seams should nest, hopefully. So now I'm going to grab my ruler, my nice big long ruler, and we're going to cut them into triangles. So I've opened it out long ways, and I put the print side facing down so that we're working on the back of our sewn strips. With our ruler, I'm actually going to turn this over. I'm going to place my 60-degree line here. I'm going to place that along the bottom edge there, and I'm going to bring it as close as I can to the selvage so that that's nice and straight along that edge. With my rotary blade, I'm just going to go whoosh and cut that off. Success! First cut done. Now I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to place this top 60-degree line here along the top edge, and then we're going to cut all the way down here to then create our first triangle. I have just turned this piece around the other way, so that's the line that I just cut. I'm going to pop my ruler back on. I've just put my 60-degree line along the bottom edge again. It is backwards, I know. And I'm going to cut up this side here to this point to create another triangle. Oh, I forgot I had my reindeer ears on. And then from here, I'm just going to do exactly the same thing with the other 2 strip sets so that we end up with 6 triangles. triangles are cut out and I've laid them on to the table, and it looks really good. I'm really happy. I was going to alternate the reds and the whites in different sort of ways like the pattern said, but I think I'm not really going to worry if there's a red and a red next to each other. It just is what it is. I'm not going to be faffing around with trying to make sure that colours aren't next to each other and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with what I've done. Now I'm just going to sew each wedge together, not sewing up the last one because that's where we're going to have the opening for it. And then we'll be on to basting and quilting. I must say this is actually coming together really quite quickly, but we've only really just started, so I really shouldn't say that. So as I just said, I'm going to piece each one together and I'm going to leave one edge open because that's where we'll do our little ties. Okay, so all of my wedges have now been sewn together just like that. Very nice. And what I did is when I pressed the seams in the middle, I just pressed them open just so the seams sit just a little bit flatter. So I've just finished pressing my backing fabric. You'll need 1.2 meters by the width of fabric, so that's a little over a yard I think, and then exactly the same of batting as well. And we are now going to baste it all together. I'm going to do a combination of two things. I'm going to do my usual spray basting, and then I think I'm going to pin as well, just because I am still not 100% with quilting on my new machine. I'm still sort of figuring things out, so I'm just going to make sure everything's basted so we don't have a lot of movement in the top. So that's what we're going to do. Also, I thought I made a mistake with cutting the triangles. I noticed that these are all coming together at a point and we're supposed to actually have a hole. Then I read the instructions and we will be actually cutting this back once it's all quilted, so no need to panic. So I've had to change over cameras to my big girl camera because my other camera's battery died, so it is currently charging. So I've really very hastily basted the top of the skirt to the batting and the backing. I was going to pin it, but I just decided to spray it because I'm not in the mood to faff today. I just want to get it done. So I've set up my machine, I've put the walking foot on, and I've changed the stitch length to a 4. And now I'm just going to just quilt around all of the sort of seams just all the way around, and then we'll pop the binding on. So we're getting there, we're getting there. So here is our Christmas tree skirt all quilted and it looks really good. So now what I'm going to do is, let's move the camera, is I'm just going to trim all of the batting away from all of the edges. And then the pattern says to measure in 1.5 inches in the center circle here. So from this edge inwards, and then cut around this edge here. So you just want to cut out sort of like a little circle in the center. So I'm going to mark it, and then when I cut around it, I'll just cut it with scissors. So it's just a little bit easier. I cut my hole in the middle And I actually had to make it bigger because I accidentally cut too far. I made this, so I cut it down a little bit further, but this little bit is going to be in the seam allowance, so I think that's okay. But yeah, I actually had to make that bigger than I wanted to. So don't do the mistake that I did by cutting too far in. Damn. Anyway, right, so now that it's all quilted and cut down and all good, I'm going to now make the binding, and I thought that I would use some of the leftover strips from my jelly roll because they're already cut at the right size. The pattern is saying you need 5 2.5 inch strips of fabric, so I'm just using the leftover red strips from my jelly roll because I don't have any really nice red fabric to use as a binding, and you know, waste not want not. So I'm going to piece them together. I'm not really going to go into how to make bias binding or really how to attach it. I'm just sort of assuming that you already know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, then I will link a couple of tutorials that you can follow down in the description box below. There are a couple that I've done with my quilt-alongs, and then I think there's another one by either Riley Blake or Fat Quarter Shop that I'll also link, and it will show you how to make a simple bias binding and attach it. So I'm going to piece these together, press them, and then sew them on to our Christmas tree skirt. Okay, so we're back on the normal camera because the battery is charged. Yes! So I've just finished making my binding and I'm now going to sew it on. So I'm going to start it on this edge here, and it's going to go all the way around, and then we're going to sew all the way up here in the center, all the way around, back down and to the start again. Wish me luck because I've never put binding on such tight corners before, so I'm hoping that it's gonna work because it's so tight, but we'll do it. I think I can do it. Just slowly and surely I think I'll get there, so let's do it. Oh my gosh, darn, that was so hard. So you may be wondering why I chose not to tell you how to do the binding. It's pretty much because I had no clue how to do it myself. Look at what I've done. I mean, you know, it's not the neatest. I'm assuming I'm just gonna be sort of folding everything down in place. I don't know. But yeah, that's the best I could do on that angle. And then I think I've done these corner points correctly. I don't know, I'm gonna have to fiddle with them. Then these bits here, I think they'll be okay once I fiddle again, but yeah. I think because they're angles and corners that I've never really worked with before, just isn't as great as it really should be. So I'm going to pop some binding clips on them, and then I'm going to just have a nice relax on the lounge, pop some Netflix on, and sew the binding to the back edge as you would just any other quilt. And then after that, if I finish sewing the binding on tonight, I'll finish that step, but if it's too late, I'll show you the very last step in tomorrow's vlog. Or no, I'll film it tomorrow but include it in this vlog. Yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, I'm just gonna sit and sew. So technically it's the next day, but that's okay. It is what it is. Last night I finished sewing on all of the binding on our tree skirt and it looks really good. I'm really happy with it. So the last thing that I have to do is sew on the little ties along the opening edge. Last night I popped up a poll on Instagram asking you whether to use the red or green ribbon, and this was the result. We are going for the red ribbon. So what I've done is I've cut 6 9-inch strips. The pattern does say 8.5, but I just did 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold one end over and we're just going to sew it on the inside bit here, on either side, right at the top, and then about 1/3 of the way down, and then about here, just about 4 or 5 inches away from the bottom. Hooray, it's finished. Happy days. I'm really happy with the way that I was able to sew on the ribbon. Hopefully you can see that. I've sewn them on so much so that this stitch that I've used on the ribbon to stitch the ribbon on is just sort of hiding just underneath the bias binding there, so you can't really notice it all that much. And that was the other one. It's there. So happy days. Oh, and by the way, this is how my center turned out after. It doesn't look like the neatest thing, but you know, it's going to be hidden up in the middle of the tree. Nobody's going to be looking at it, so yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it just one final press and then pop it under the tree. Yay! I don't know whether I should label it. I should really label it. No, I don't want to. Actually, I might just write on it. I'll write on it with a Sharpie or something. But happy days. I'm going to press it and then pop it under the tree. Yay! It looks so good. So it's not the end of the day until we do the advent calendar. Well, let's see who is behind door 11. Ooh, hello? Ah, it's Dobby. Hey, mate. Oh, and he's holding a sock. That's so cool. There he is with his old mate Harry. Oh, he's so sweet. I'm going to say good night and goodbye for the day. Yes, I'm still wearing my antler ears. I've been wearing them almost all day and all night because, you know, why not? There's no other time in the year where I can really get away with wearing these, so why not? I hope you enjoyed today's video where we learned how to make a Christmas tree skirt. I hope you were able to follow along with my instructions and sort of just, you know, the flow that I was going in. There will be a pattern sheet of sorts for this in the description box below. I'm actually going to see if I can find this pattern on the Spotlight website first and then link it. If not, then I'll actually have to write out my own version of what I've done and then pop it up on my blog and link it in the description. Whichever way I do it, there will be a link down there to a pattern that you can follow along with. That is what I made today. I've always wanted to make a Christmas tree skirt and I've finally done it. It's one of those sort of bucket list projects that I can tick off. So happy days. Again, thank you for watching today and I will see you again tomorrow for day 12. Halfway through, almost a little bit, kind of, almost halfway. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.